Hi, everyone. Kristen and Gary and Ashley. Hello, thank you. Oh, and Timothy's got his camera on. Hello, hello.
I've got to change that spelling. I go by Tim.
Oh, good to know. Thank you for saying that. My real name is Caitlin, and I think I'm in trouble when people say that. So I'm like, please, Katie. So I won't be on edge. Hi, everyone.
Hey there.
Happy Thursday. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. Good. How's Ignite going? What is this, day 3? Yeah. Are you like information overload already, or is it still like pretty smooth sailing?
It's sinking in.
Good.
I'm 3.5
And
months in, still information overload.
what was that, Gary?
Said I'm 3.5 months in and it's still information overload.
All part of the experience.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's never an end to the amount of information that comes in. You just kind of learn to tune out the bad or like the non-important and like focus on the important things, which is
I
actually
think that
something
would be a very good class or lecture, or would be like how to separate the noise from the actual stuff that you need. Because when you get your license, I receive 100 emails of all these different products and people to meet and this and that, and it's like, whoa, I don't know what's legit, what someone's just trying to get my information, so I don't know, maybe it's everybody has to deal with it. I just think it would be a good class or lecture on all the stuff that you just need, maybe just from Keller Williams. If you're new, if you're coming from somewhere else and you use like a different CRM or something, but somebody who's with Keller Williams could just tell a new person, like, don't worry about anything else, just focus on this right here.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful. I don't know, because I found that was kind of confusing to me, is all these emails I was getting and it was just noise. I spent a lot of time listening to a lot of crap that I didn't have to listen to, looking at a lot of information and webinars even, and it's like, what? This has nothing to do with me, so
Yeah. Well, and at this point, the goal is to get business, right? Like I need buyers and sellers, or else what am I doing here? So if it doesn't get me more business, then I can put like that's a later thing.
Yeah.
So being able to figure it, like differentiate or have someone that says, nope, this is a now thing, this is a later thing. I love that idea.
Yeah.
That's good feedback. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of like today's classes connect with your market. So we'll talk a little bit about like what information to be paying attention to when it comes to statistics and what the media is saying and things like that. So I'll try and like narrow that down for you today, in that category at least. Is this about what the group that's been here the last couple of days? Do you guys all know each other already? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I like that Tristan is on here twice. That's funny. One you're not moving, and one you are.
I went to try to change my background and all of a sudden just kicked me out of the call. So there's 2 of me. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I like it. Thank you for being here twice. Okay, let's get started. Hi, I am Katie Hardman. Many of you probably don't know who I am. How many of you are from, is anybody here from Capital City? The Capital City Market Center? The Eugene Market Center?
Eugene.
Yeah.
Anyone from Southern? No? Anybody from Sunset Corridor? No. Oh, Emily, I didn't even see your name there. Hi, it's good to see you. So I am physically at the Sunset Corridor office. I am the team leader of this office, but I'm also the COO of the network of brokerages overseeing Sunset Quarter, Capital City, Eugene, and Southern Oregon. So you'll see me on like the monthly calls, sometimes interviewing agents or talking about things that are going on in the state of Oregon. I've been in the real estate industry. I tell people this has been my only big girl job. I've been in the industry since I was 19, so 14 years. In California, Texas, and now in Oregon. So one of the things and why Mara asked me to teach this class or not teach, talk to you about this content is because I'm passionate about economics and I'm passionate about knowing your craft, knowing your market. So that is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint so that we can walk through some of this content together. Where's the play button? Okay, can you guys see my screen? Yes, okay, cool. I cannot see my buttons anymore. So that's cool. Oops, gonna go backwards. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Get rid of this. I'm saying things and you guys are like, what is she talking about? Okay. Is everybody in the right place? Is everybody here to talk about connecting with your market?
Yes.
Yes, maybe. Cool. So this is a really cool class, and I'm so glad that it's in this section because anytime you get your real estate license, you're a topic of conversation. When people know that you're in the real estate industry, the natural next question is, oh, you're a real estate agent? Oh, you're a broker? How's the market? And I don't know where that comes from or when that started, but as long as I've been in the business, it's, oh, you're in real estate? How's the market? And so this class is to prepare you to have an answer to that question, to be able to confidently answer their questions and meet them where they're at in the story they're hearing and the data that they've collected and navigate how to get them to the real truth, whatever that may be. So this is the third session or the third class in the Ignite series. And to me, it's my favorite, maybe because it's the one I get to teach. So we're going to go through a couple different pieces of this. Know your market. So where do you get the data? What data should you be looking at? Then build your expertise is, okay, how do you interpret that information and how to utilize those resources based on where the person you're having this conversation with is at in their knowledge and what data they've collected. How do you blend the information together? And then we'll connect it to what are some daily habits that you should incorporate into your real estate business that the most successful real estate agents do every day. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. This is a quote from Gary Keller, and I think it's a good one. He says, here's the truth. If it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your market or in your world. A lot of times you'll hear, oh, that's not possible in my market, or that doesn't apply to me. And the truth is that there's a difference between that won't work here and how can I make that work here? And that's where data and strategy comes in to say, okay, well, I just need to tweak this number or this piece of the strategy to make that work in my market. So let's dive in. Knowing your market means connecting with your market. A well-connected A well-connected, that is well-informed agent knows everything they can possibly know about their real estate market, whether it be a neighborhood, small town, a city, county, or a segment of the market, such as downtown condos. What you choose to know well is up to you. That sounds like a lot of things to know. A city, a county, a town, a neighborhood, downtown condos. But truly where you choose to focus your time is the clients you'll attract. So in knowing your market, if you choose to focus on a certain neighborhood, you'll attract people that are also focusing on that neighborhood. So it's important to be able to differentiate micro level data versus macro level data. And that's part of a knowing and connecting with your market. So the book says, becoming the real estate expert is all about knowing your market and connecting with that market in unique and consistent ways. And there's levels to this. Like we talked about neighborhoods, cities, counties, states. Those are micro and macro levels of information. And we take that to a real estate conversation. What would be a macro level?
Your
piece
neighborhood,
of information? Say that again?
your neighborhood.
Potentially, depending on how small you're getting, right? Macro means big.
Oh, okay. Wrong. Opposite land.
So micro might be a neighborhood. And if micro is a neighborhood, what would a macro level
Your whole town.
conversation? The town,
your
yep.
county.
Perhaps the whole state.
Yep. The nation, right? Sometimes on the news, they're talking about national stats. That's looking at the industry from a macro level and making statements. And we'll talk about this a little later. That's the conversation we might need to be aware of and then educated on the micro ones so that we can navigate how to bring our consumer to reality. Oh, you guys, every time someone comes in the room, I have to stop sharing my, hold please. I need to admit, Lucida. Okay, I hope that gets better. I hope I don't have to do that every time. Okay, so in this
Now
section,
there's-
what was that?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just connecting. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. In this section, we will cover the types of markets important numbers real estate agents should know about in their own market and how to interpret those numbers to understand your client's needs. So what kind of markets do you know about already? Like, given that what'd you say, Gary, 3 months into the business, what kind of market do you know about?
My definitely my neighborhood. So the town, I had a listing in Junction City, and so I pretty much know that market too, just by doing CMAs and whatnot for the listing. So I get updates on all the properties that go for sale in Junction City right now,
Yeah,
price point. So just so I know that I could talk to my client and let them know how the market's doing in their town, why their house isn't selling, or what maybe we should adjust the price because of these trends or whatever. So however, I did get an offer on the house, so it did hopefully it'll sell, but up until that point, that's what I was doing. So
yeah. I mean, that's a very specific need to know that neighborhood and that market, is if you have business there, then it would naturally make sense to focus your attention on what's going on in that specific area. Okay, so if we're focusing on a neighborhood, what data or what information are you collecting to be able to share?
me again,
Or anybody?
Oh, I was gonna say the TMO reports. I read those. and then just even Zillow. I look at Zillow, all of them, and I just use the how many the pendings, what percentage of new listings go pending, how many days on the market, the average house price.
Yes, love it. All of those things.
What are the first reports that you said you look at, Gary?
The TMO reports. It's a report that is sent out by I think Sunset Corridor sends them out. It's all of Experience gets it. The TMO report.
Emily, it's a report that our office sends out, I think on Mondays.
Yeah.
And it's called, TMO stands for Total Market Overview. And so it takes data based on zip codes and neighborhoods and tells you the activity in those specific areas.
Cool. All right, thanks.
You should start to get those.
Also, the RMLS sends us one, kind of a nice overview of like Lane County, Greater Lane County. It's basically like a TMO for RMLS, and it's easier to read than the TMO report that Keller Williams sends out, but it's all, you could use all the information.
Okay.
Yeah, Tristan, I saw you unmuted yourself. What did you?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to add, and actually I heard this in the shift class that I was taking part in. They had mentioned the turnover rate for neighborhoods. So is there a lot of activity in those neighborhoods? Are people kind of staying where they're at and not moving? Are people in and out? I haven't fully looked into those yet, but that is something that was new to me, that kind of got my engine rolling here, was just check the turnover rates for the neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's a great stat. I love that. Shane, I saw you unmute yourself. Did you have something to add as well?
No, it was an accident.
Oh, okay. No problem. So, and I think what's important to know about all these stats, especially in today's market, is we're looking for changes, because where we truly get to be the expert is when there's unknowns or there's changes, and we get to interpret that data to say, or to guide our clients in making the best decisions in a shifting market. So what we want to look at, guys, this slide thing's really something interesting. So what we're doing is interpreting what's going on in the market. So we're going to talk about, there's 5 pillars of knowing your market. And the first is the type of market that we're in. So on the slide, it talks about there's 3 different types of markets. Buyer's market, which means there are more homes for sale on the market than there are interested buyers. Supply of houses is greater than demand. This puts the buyer at an advantage and can possibly get a great home for an affordable price. The buyer has the advantage. The opposite, a seller's market, is when there's less supply than there is demand, meaning there's less homes on the market, less sellers than there are buyers. And this puts the seller at an advantage. And then in a balanced market, you have a healthy share of buyers and sellers and a good amount of inventory. What market do you guys think we're in now?
So with the interest rate going up, I think a lot of people are kind of waiting to buy, thinking that, it's going to drive prices down. I think prices are going to come down maybe just a little bit, not a whole lot, because we still have low inventory, or what's considered to be low inventory anyway. Everything I'm reading. And
Yeah.
I would advise a buyer to not wait for that reason. That could be really expensive, in the long run.
Tim, I love that. And so if we have low inventory, what kind of market is that?
Well, it's still a seller's market.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So even though interest rates are changing, you may see more inventory we just got September's data. So more inventory in September and now October than we did in August or July or June, we're still technically less than 5 months of inventory, which means we're still in a seller's market, right?
Right, and with the interest rate going up, it does change the amount of money that, you know, a potential buyer would be able to borrow.
Yeah.
And
So that
the
might
interest rate's
change.
gonna continue to rise, you know.
And yeah, we're gonna, that's a whole section on interest rates and lending rules. And I love that you're saying that, Timothy, because that changes who is able to buy right now. So your client or who your target market might be shifting to. The market might be shifting and your clientele might be shifting based on new purchasing power based on interest rates. So what is considered a shift? When we talk about the market has shifted, what does that mean? We're shifting right now, right? Like we're still in a seller's market, but what would it mean that there's a shift in the market?
That you're seeing a trend of over the last 3 months, there was more inventory. And then as the months are progressing, there's less inventory, although it's still, you know, in the category of the seller's market. You can see that the trend is going towards having more of that balanced market, or, you know, even towards a buyer's market, depending on how far it goes.
Totally, exactly right, Ashley. You're moving from a seller's to a balanced, or a balanced to a buyer's, or buyer's to a seller's. If you're moving really fast, you're moving between those different types of markets. You've shifted from one to the other.
Hey,
What are some
Katie,
things? Yeah.
I'm looking at the slide. So what are like a buyer's market says more than 7 months of inventory. How do the months relate? Like on average, like do they take like an average month and figure that out, or how is that related?
Really good question, Emily. So the way, and this is a stat that the MLS puts out, and the way that it's calculated, like right now in Portland Metro, we have 2.2 months of inventory. And that means that if no more homes came on the market, it would take us 2.2 months to completely sell out what's on the market. And that's what it means by months supply of inventory, is how many months do we have left if nothing else came on the market for us to sell out.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so a shift occurs when market moves from, or when it moves from one market to the other, buyers to balance, balance to seller, seller to buyer, any combination. What do you think causes a shift in the market? And Tim, you alluded to one reason, right? Interest rates.
Yeah, with the interest rate going up, changes the amount someone can borrow.
Yeah.
But it also, I don't think we're going to have, you know, the multiple offers that we were seeing originally, you know.
Yeah, that's another indicator of there's a shift when we don't see as many offers come in on properties. Yep, I love that.
Do you think that with like the rental increases, since that kind of changed, at least I know in this area it was changing, where the rent can be, you know, it can go up where your mortgage isn't going to go up. Do you think that that's going to have an impact on more people wanting to buy, even with the higher interest rate? Because obviously rent is 100% interest.
Yeah, I think that, yes, to like short answer to your question, yes, I think that's a motivation factor for a potential I don't know if it would shift an entire market, but it will, those buyers that may be hesitant when that information came out, they may be more motivated now to go and buy, since the rise in interest rates isn't as much as the rise in rental prices or rents increasing.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
rent
I'd
increasing so much, your payment can almost, your house payment would almost be less than your rent if rent keeps going up like it is.
Yeah. And that's, again, this is a good point, because like it's affecting Oregon. It's affecting our macro level conversation at a state level. And then when you get into your local markets, like you're saying, each house, it may change the compare and contrast of, does this home's monthly payment go above or below your monthly rental payment? So I love that you're looking at both the macro and the micro level there. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So the next thing to look at to know the market is inventory. So we talked about months supply of inventory, and how this can be a primary factor in determining when or if the market is shifting. What's another inventory type of statistic? Gary, you might have actually said it, that would determine a shift in the market.
Days on market.
Yep, that's exactly what. Yeah, when homes start to sit on the market longer, then that could be a determiner of a shift.
It can also drive the price down too.
Yeah, when buyers start seeing, oh, why isn't this home selling? Why is this one sitting? And you're representing the seller. I mean, there's only so many things that affect the sale of a home, right? Price, condition, location. But at the end of the day, if it's in the right location, or if it's in the wrong location and bad condition, price is the only thing that you can change. So yeah, absolutely, it affects the price of the home. And where would you find days on market data?
RMLS?
Yep. Every home has that little category that says DOM, days on market. And that's how you'll know. And when, Tim, I think it was you that said that MLS puts out a monthly report, and you can see what's great about that report and kind of navigating what's happening in the market is it'll not only tell you days on market currently, like an average days on market, but it also tells you the change over last month. Like last month, it might have been 24 days on market is the average. This month, it might be 34 days on market is average. So now you can not only see what the average is, but is it going up or down? And that's significant to knowing if there's a shift in the market. So I know in your guys' book, you have a list of questions. And I thought we could do this as a group exercise. Is that okay? Can we answer these questions together? So who knows what is the inventory of your market?
What is it, like 4.5, 5 months, something like that for Eugene Springfield?
So Lane County is 1.3 months.
Oh, really? Wow.
As of the September data that just came out. Portland Metro, 2.2 months. Salem is 2.19 months. And then Jackson County, which is Southern Oregon, 2.97 months. So depending on where you are, between 1 and 2 months of inventory, which means if nothing else came on the market, sellers are afraid to put their house on the market because they're afraid they can't afford something or no other homes are coming on the market. If nothing else came on the market, all of our markets would be sold out in 2 months. No more homes would be on the market. So what is the average number of days a home stays on the market? Does anybody know their average days on market?
I think for Eugene Springfield, it's around 31 is what I saw most recently.
Yeah, Tristan, you exactly right. 31 days. I'm going to see average home from the day it's put in the MLS to the day it's marked as sold is 31 days. Portland Metro, 34. Jackson, which is Southern Oregon, is 41. So Eugene, you guys sell things really fast or faster than the rest of Oregon. Does anybody know the average price of a home in your market? What is the average price a home in your market sells for?
Is Lane County around 500,000?
You know, I didn't pull that number, so we'll go, yes, Tim, you are right.
Cool.
You're the expert.
I don't know about that. I'm in my, just now started my second year, so we'll see.
I think Tim's right. I think it's about 450 to 500,000.
That sounds about right for Lane County. I think Portland Metro, we're at 550. I think Southern Oregon's a little bit lower than Lane County. So based on your inventory, what type of real estate market are you in? Now that we've seen the numbers.
Seller's market.
Yeah. Seller's market. What are the rest of the questions? Based on what are the current average mortgage interest rates? Does anybody know?
7.2.
How often does that number get reported? Do you guys know? How often does it change?
Well, it's kind of up to the feds, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, but
Well, I say that because it's not something that's reported on the 4th day of the month or on the 2nd Tuesday. It could change day to day, like interest rates. And that's why when we get into the next pillar, well, let's finish up the questions on this one. When we get into the next pillar, though, knowing interest rates and different programs is important because the interest rate does change so often. So what is the employment or unemployment rate in your market?
If I could add real quick before we move on to the next question, I have an app. It's called Mortgage News Daily. It's
Ooh.
free, easy to use. It's you can see the rates fluctuate throughout the day, and that's, you know, it is changing day to day. You can set up notifications. So Mortgage News Daily, I highly recommend. It's super easy to read, and it's free to use. Highly recommend.
was that 7.2 accurate for the average interest rate?
Pull out your app. What does it say right now?
7.1.
Oh, that's close.
Tim was close. I'm sorry, what was that app called?
It's called Mortgage News Daily.
Yeah, I wrote that down in my book right here, so I refer to that later.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing, Tristan. One of the things that I think is important to know too is that there are professionals that their job is to know the interest rate and be able to speak to it and interpret it and find the best solutions for your clients. They're called lenders, right? So the importance of knowing the interest rate for our sake is because we need to be able to use that information to know where the market is going. However, being partnered with a great lender allows us to leverage part of that conversation so that they can be the expert and talk to it as well. I'm actually going to go to the next slide because that's the next thing in knowing your market is interest rates and lenders. And I think this is what the book says, and I think this is interesting. It says interest rates and lender regulations play important roles in the status of your market. As interest rates rise, buying power starts to dip because affordability decreases. These rising interest rates will take some buyers out of the market. That's important for us to know, right? there's if our clients can only afford a certain level of house and our average sales price is 450 and they can only afford a $400,000 house and interest rates go up, they're almost being priced out of the market, right? Like the pool of home that they can afford gets smaller and smaller. But goes on to say, also pay attention to lender regulations. This can help get a feel for where the market is headed. If lenders are changing their policies, they could be signaling that that could be signaling that a market shift is on the way or already here. Lenders may be reacting to other economic factors that we aren't in tune with. So it's important to keep a close eye on these regulations for any changes. I think that this is where I'm thankful to have someone whose job it is to know that information. We're expected to know a lot, right? We're talking about all these different factors, types of markets, inventory, days on market, average sales price. Let's leverage this conversation to a really great partner who can, or a really great app, Mortgage News Daily, so that we have a pulse on what's going on and can start to feel out what's happening, and yet allow that relationship with the lender to help guide your clients as well. They're also going to be the ones that know about the different programs. So as we're talking about interest rates going up, one thing that I've seen show up in a lot of lending practices is called a lock-in shop. Like, lock in your rate today because we speculate rates are going to go up, but continue to shop for the next 60 days until you find the perfect house. Or a 2-1 buy down, right? Where sellers are buying down the interest rate for the buyer. That's a program that is great for us to know about, our lenders to know about, so we can tell our clients who may be getting priced out of the market, well, there's options. Any thoughts on interest rates and lender partners?
I think it'd be really helpful to know of all of those programs and how they work, that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, this is where, Gary, to your point about what do I listen to, what classes do I attend, every lending institution has its own programs, right? Like we are partnered with Homeward, who is a cash buyer for clients, so that their offers, or for our clients, so their offers are made as a cash offer and they're more attractive. So they've got different programs that allow the traditional buyer to look like a cash buyer. We work with BKCO Mortgage, who does the 2-1 buy down and the lock and shop. So this is where having a few great partners is important. So you could just call up and say, hey, Katie, what programs do you have today? But I've got a client that has this. What could you do for them? Okay, let's move on to know your market pillar number 4, which is economic factors. And this is an interesting one because a lot of what we've talked about is data that's already come out, right? Days on market, month supply of inventory, average sales price. That's a lagging indicator of what has already happened in the market. Economic factors are what we call a leading indicator, which means that what we're seeing in the economy is soon to affect housing, but it hasn't happened yet, or potentially hasn't happened yet. So how does unemployment affect the housing market? How does people entering and exiting the workforce? How do growth rates affect the economy? What do new rules and regulations, how do they affect the housing market? So we see these policies show up, or unemployment rise, which is what they expect for 2023, unemployment to rise. So now we're forecasting what the housing market is going to look like in 2023 based on other economic factors. The book says the best way to stay ahead of the market or potential market shifts is to pay attention to what's going on in the economy. It's important to know one factor alone doesn't indicate a radical change. Shifts can be good or bad, so always be on the lookout for how the numbers in your market are changing and what these changes mean. I also think this is a really good point, and it made me feel better when I read it. So I want to share it with you guys. It says, your job is not to become a research scientist. It is to understand how certain economic indicators could impact the housing market going forward. And remember, as long as you have clients to ask you questions about your market, the job of knowing the numbers and adjusting to the market never ends. It's not our job to be research scientists. It's just to know how the factors could potentially affect the real estate market. And all just so we can have a conversation, right? I promise you, just by taking this class, you know more than your clients. The fact that you care about the numbers means you already know more. What are some other economic factors that could affect our industry? Pandemics, maybe. Hopefully
Of
that's
course,
not another, like, something to
Yeah, let's not
come.
have that come back.
Yeah. Global crisis. I mean, when our major manufacturers or things we get for the home come from overseas, and there's trade regulation, or we've seen the congestion with shipping that affects the ability to build homes, or the price of lumber goes up, the price of wood goes up, that affects our ability to build more homes. When we can't get refrigerators, I can't remember who I was talking to in Roseburg, but they said not one Home Depot or one Lowe's in the whole city has a refrigerator in stock. So
What about with the minimum wage going up? That's going to drive other wages up. And if wages are up on, carpenters, then, the price of a home is going to be more.
Yeah. Wages go up.
And the minimum wage just keeps going up. That was supposed to be an entry-level wage for a 16-year-old kid. And now, my 16-year-old daughter, she's making, $17 an hour at McDonald's. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that wild? And they're giving bonuses.
No wonder you can't get a 2 cheeseburger meal for under $10. Not that I try not to eat that stuff. It's really bad for you. But,
I mean, it's probably a good thing that they're so expensive. It makes me not want to eat them.
Right. But yeah, she came home the other day with a $600 paycheck. When I was 21 years old working in a plywood mill, if I had a $600 check, I was happy, and I was working my butt off on the green chain, So, I mean, things have certainly changed, but that's that's part of the reason everything is going sky high. Inflation, it's getting nuts. And I think that drives the cost of everything, including housing.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. I'd consider that other important market factors. On the positive side of things, some other things that may affect a neighborhood, the micro level economic or the market of the neighborhood is, are there any new cool nearby shops or restaurants that have popped up that are making that neighborhood more attractive? Are there any new industries? Like in Portland, we have Nike and Intel. Like, are there any health facilities? Is there a new hospital? These are neighborhood attractions. Those could change the economics of that specific neighborhood, make it more attractive, make prices go up, make the demand higher. I think this is where, like, if you're focused on farming a certain area, this becomes really important. In my neighborhood, they're talking about putting in a gas station because there's not one for like 2 miles, which maybe that doesn't sound like a lot for you, for everybody, but that's going to change the economics of our neighborhood.
And are there sources that you, other than just like living and knowing the neighborhood itself, are there sources that you look at or can read that tell you like, oh, they're talking about putting this in, or they're looking at doing this, or is that just something that you know based on your time in that neighborhood?
I think it's a little bit of both, knowing the neighborhood, being in the neighborhood, seeing what's going on, but also reading the news or city planning. You could go to city meetings, depending on how deep you want to get into that neighborhood. Just who's submitted for plans. A lot of that is public data that you can look up. Another one is churches. Like if churches pop up in a neighborhood. This is something that'll come up talking about neighborhood features in a future class too, when you talk about open houses, because the time of day you do an open house could change based on neighborhood attractions. If there's a school nearby or a church, you may choose to do an open house based on when schools go getting out, or when church is getting out, or if there's like a restaurant, you may do it during lunch or dinner. If it's a cafe, maybe during brunch. So that this not only affects the conversation you have, but also when you do different open houses during different times of the day. Any other factors you guys can think of?
Yeah, I can think of one more, like for instance, the small town of Oak Ridge. The property values are really dropping up there ever since the mill shut down. You know, it was kind of a mill town. The mill shut down, a lot of people moved out of the area, but houses aren't worth near as much because there's no real opportunity there in terms of employment. And if you want to commute 45 minutes to Eugene or whatever it is, maybe 35 minutes, but you know, a lot of people don't want to do that. They want to live close to their job. Well, there's no jobs there to speak of unless you want to work for minimum wage at a gas station or something like that, or a convenience store. But that sort of thing, I think, really changes the market. Unfortunately, that's a negative, but it does change it.
Yeah, that's a great point. When an industry leaves a market, what does that do to the neighborhood? That's an interesting factor. And it makes me also think about one of the things that happened during COVID is employers allowed employees to work remotely or work from home. So we've seen a huge boom in people moving to what would typically be a second home market is now becoming a first home market. So like the coast, because they no longer have to be close to work because they can be a remote employee, that those markets are seeing a huge uptick in primary residence.
Yes, they are, Katie.
Yes, they are. I love it. Okay, so when we are looking at knowing your market, you know, the type of market that we're in, inventory is an indicator of knowing the type of market. Knowing interest rates will tell you what type of market we're shifting into. Economic factors are a leading indicator on what market we might be in the future. And then neighborhood factors or neighborhood attractions can also tell you what your specific market is doing. Okay, now that we have all this data, well, let's do this first. Any ahas?
The leading versus the not
Lagging?
the lagging. The leading versus the lagging concept was really interesting. because it kind of helps you almost start putting together a timeline, if you will. Well, if these things happen, then I'm not a future teller. However, these things could end up happening. I mean, I've heard of agents that have been doing this for 20+ years. One thing happens and they can tell you what the next 8 years are going to look like.
Yep. And real estate is cyclical. So we have trends that tell us, okay, when this happens, you can expect this. When this happens, you can expect this. However, this is a very unknown. So history has not, this has not happened in history before. So we're all living it for the first time together. Thank you for sharing that, Amanda. Any other ahas?
I think it was on script practice the other day, but somebody shared like when you're asked about the market to like put it back in their court, like continue to ask questions. Don't just give like a quick answer, because then they're just kind of like got their information and done. Like seek to understand more about like their motivation for wanting to know what the market is like.
Yeah, Emily, that's huge advice. And that's part of this next section we're going to talk about is when someone says, how's the market? We don't know what their frame is on what's the market. So before we give them data, understanding where they're at currently with their knowledge, their understanding, their fears, their excitements, like will allow us to lead the conversation in different ways. So that's a really great point, to ask more questions before just diving into information overload.
In scripts, Matt usually said when somebody asks you how the market is, you're supposed to say, well, are you buying, selling, or investing?
Renting.
Or renting, yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I love that you guys are on script practice. That makes
Oh,
me
yeah.
so happy. Okay, let's jump into, now that we know the market, we know what data we need to know, how do we interpret that? Like, what do we do with that information? So knowing the numbers is just the first step. Understanding, interpreting, and applying the numbers of your market to your lead generation and lead follow-up conversations are equally as important. Now that you've collected the data, what do you do with it? So there's 4 steps you can take to start building your expertise right now. So step 1, learn the market. Is it showing up? I'm on the wrong side. Here we go. Learn the market. So know your language of real estate. We've talked about this a little bit. The language of real estate are the most common terms that we use to compare month over month, year over year, local to national. Some of the numbers that I use when I'm interpreting the market: closed units and closed volume, contracts written, listings taken, listings sold, and both in units and volume, because that's going to tell us, are there less homes coming on the market? Are there less homes being sold? Is volume up? Is volume down? I can't tell you how many agents told me this year, well, I've done less units, but I've made more money, which is a huge indicator of inflation, right?
Will you
So-
explain the difference between units and volume?
Yeah, thank you, Emily. You asked such good questions. So units is the home, like the home itself. Like if you sell a home, that's 1 unit. You sell 2 homes, that's 2 units. If you volume is the price of the home. So the unit, say you sold 3 homes in the month of October, that would be 3 units, and they were all 500,000. It'd be 1.5 million in volume. So when when learning the market, know your language of real estate. So the piece that I loved in this section, it says, how do your local numbers and their changes compare to the national market? And I think that's important to know. Like, we are trained to be the local economist of choice. And yet, what is media giving you? National data, right? Like, if you're watching a national or a news station, they're 9 times out of 10 giving you national data. So when we go into the how's your market conversation, that's where it's important to understand, well, is your consumer watching the news and they're hearing these horror stories about what's going on in the real estate market, or are they paying attention to a postcard that got sent to them by a local real estate agent? So the how's your market could look different depending on your news source. And also, the West Coast tends to lag shifts in the market, meaning on a national level and on the East Coast and the Midwest, they could already be experiencing, and they already are experiencing, a shift in the market. And we're going to lag that. It'll show up here. And during the last big shift, it did show up here, but it was months or a year later. So it almost felt like, oh, that doesn't affect us here. Back to Gary's quote at the beginning, that we don't need to worry about that here. What's happening there doesn't happen here. It does. We're just a lag of what's going on the rest of the nation. So when what we're hearing on the news at a national level, pay attention, but just understand we might be a little behind that. And we get to learn from what everybody else is going through. So take notes. This is another great point. Explain that, or it says that generally speaking, transactions and prices tend to be higher in the summer, while market inventory typically slows down in the winter. Market fluctuations outside of this scope can indicate changes are coming. So there's something called natural seasonality. This is another thing that doesn't.
Here's what I found.
Siri's trying to talk to me. This is another thing that changes from market to market. And in Oregon, we have very clear seasonality. The summer months are definitely stronger months, more inventory, more volume than winter months. So knowing and understanding that might be something that ebbs and flows as well. And is that normal or is that abnormal? What other factors would affect a market?
I'd say the fires definitely have affected a lot.
Yeah, Amanda.
Natural
That's
disaster.
a huge one. Yeah, natural disasters.
Drought down in California.
Drought. Yeah, that's a huge one for California. Hurricanes. Getting really micro. It's fun to compare this whether it's national or local or county data to your personal. Step 2, right? Know your language of real estate. Step 2 is know your business. Over time, and in command, you'll track your business to know what's your seasonality. Are there certain times of year that you tend to do more business or less business? Or are there certain factors that that change your business depending on your niche or your area? And it's also nice to be able to track that to say, is it just me that's experiencing this? Or is it a county or a state or a national thing? And okay, I'm not crazy. Everybody's experiencing this right now. Knowledge is power. Bottom line, knowledge is power. Okay, the second one, my computer. Learn the clientele. Who needs to know this information as we collect the data, as we're watching the news, as we're reading trends, thinking who needs to know this data? Who would benefit from knowing this information? Just a piece of buyer's information, right? Rental rates, buyers should know that. Maybe investors also. Do sellers need to know this information? Does the market benefit your clients, or does it create risk for your clients? And knowing that each piece of data could affect everybody differently. What would be a great piece of information for a buyer to know?
The interest rate.
Yep. That's a huge one right now. Interest rate. What would be good for a
On
seller?
that, to piggyback on that more optimistically, I think it's important for buyers to know what resources are around those high interest rates to like the 2-1 buy downs.
Yeah, totally. What is good for sellers to know right now?
They're the correcting prices.
Yeah.
The fact that 6 months ago your neighbor sold for $500,000 more than what I'm suggesting, there's a reason for it, and it's not because your house isn't as great and fine and dandy, but we're not in the market of 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. That the inflation is slowing down. Yeah. I was interviewing. Oh, go ahead. Who had some?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think a buyer needs to know that waiting around thinking that prices are gonna drop dramatically is very costly, because they're probably not, because we're still in a seller's market.
Yeah. That's a great conversation, Tim. And historically, if you look over time, homes still appreciate. So the house is never going to be cheaper than it is right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep. I love that. That's a great story to be telling sellers and buyers right now.
And if you're looking for business, you're gonna wanna motivate buyers and sellers, so.
Mhm, mhm. I love it. Okay. Building your business pillar number 3, listen to individuals. Go where the people are. As you make sense of the market, it's just as important that you listen and understand what clients think of the market and where they're getting their information. Take a grassroots approach, learn where your sphere gets information, and be present. What would be a great way to hear or to get someone's perspective on the market that's not an agent?
Ask them what they think.
Yeah. Yeah, one-on-one. When they ask you how's the market, like we talked about, respond or have questions in response. What about a home buyer seminar? That'd be a great way to pull what people are thinking, what buyers are potentially thinking in a group setting. Put a poll on Facebook, maybe. Do you think it's a great time to buy, or why not?
So I'm a musician and I spend a lot of time in the bars, and just striking up a conversation. You know, say if you're sitting at the corner of the bar, pretty soon you'll have 4 or 5 people talking about real estate. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's a person on stage at, I can't remember if it was a Keller Williams Mega Camp, Keller Williams Family Reunion, one of our national conventions, and he talked about wearing a shirt that said, like, ask me about real estate, or like advertise, like, I'm an agent, have questions or something. And now you'll see that, like, hats that say want to know about buying, or ask me about selling a home, or stickers you put on your laptop and go sit at Starbucks that says want to know about the market. So there's a lot of ways to subtly ask the question or not so subtly invite the conversation into your world, or promote it by hosting events. But I think it's important to ask their opinion first, so you have a starting point on how to navigate that conversation. Okay, build your expertise. Pillar number 4, keep the headlines in context. We've talked a little bit about this one already. As you learn your market and your clientele, be aware that headlines can be persuasive. This is the job of media, right? Like, they're trying to stop the scroll. They're trying to stop you from going to the next changing the channel, stop you from turning the page in the magazine. They're meant to be persuasive. What would be what headlines have you seen recently that are persuasive or tell a very directed story? I think there's one that's kind of looming out there. Maybe it's gotten a little bit quieter, but the scare tactic of the market is going to crash again, like it did in 2008. Was it 2008, 2009, 2007, somewhere in there?
Right
Those
around
years.
09, I think.
What was that, Tim?
Yeah, right around 09, I think.
I started in real estate in 09, so it was all the bottom for me. So yeah, knowing the headlines I think is important, and then giving context to why that might be said and why it may not be true here. Like we talked about, national news could be talking about a market that has shifted and we're not experiencing that yet. So now is a great time to buy or sell before we experience whatever the national news is saying. Okay, before we move on to the next section, any ahas about building your expertise? Or any feedback or tips for everybody about building your expertise? Learn your market, learn your clientele, listen, keep headlines in context.
I'd say no, like learning the market, even on a micro level, getting out there and talking to people in the neighborhood that you want to farm, kind of thing. Know the ins and outs. If they're building new bike trails or something in that neighborhood, talking to people living in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love that aha. The bike trails. Because then, oh, I know someone who loves to run, or I know someone who has a family and they love the outdoors. Like that would be a great, somebody has dogs, needs to walk their dogs. Yeah, it gives you a direction. Any other ahas? Okay. So we know the market, we know how to be the expert, interpret the data, and ask good questions. Now let's talk about utilizing resources. So a couple interesting, I'm glad you shared another one. And if anybody has other resources that could help the group, this is a great time to share, but 2 apps that Keller Williams has to help you be a resource and be an expert for your client are the KW app and the KW Command app. And these can both be found in both the Google Play or the Apple App Store. And there's courses that deep dive into both of them on KW Connect to tell you how to utilize each unique function in the app. We'll just do a brief overview of them today. Has anybody downloaded either one of these?
Yeah, I've got the KW app.
Love it.
Yep.
Okay, So for you, for those who have downloaded KW or the Command app, how are you using it? Or have you started using it, I guess would be a better question.
I haven't really started using it yet. I did, a friend of mine who's considering selling and then buying a house towards the coast. I had him download that app onto his phone, and so he's messing around with it, which is a good thing, I suppose.
Yeah, you did exactly what you were supposed to do with that app. Share it.
Yeah,
Has anybody else used the KW app or the Command app?
I've shared it. Yeah,
Love it. Perfect. You guys are on it.
consider it a touch, you know. Hey, check out my app too, by the way. I just developed this cool app.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing
Give you an
is they're completely branded to you for free.
yeah, I've
So
sent it
yeah,
to everybody in my sphere, you know, through Command.
yeah. I highly encourage you guys to download both of them, and I'll dive into, if you haven't downloaded them, this is kind of what how I interpret what these two apps are. And there might be another slide. So the Command app is everything to run your business. It's the internal, it's your app to use. It's everything from lead generation to database management to organization to marketing to task management. It's all the pieces for you to run a highly functional real estate business on the go. So there's Command that is on your computer that you log into the website and you can see all these things. The Command app allows you to function on the go with all of those tools. You can do, I think you can send text messages, phone calls, you can check in on your transactions and upload documents straight from the app. So that is your tool. The KW app is the tool that you share with your clients. So the way KW talks about it is it's streamlining the home buying and selling process and connecting agents and consumers like never before. So it's the app that that when you you download it, you log in so that it's got your information on it, and then you from the app share it with your database, with the person you meet at Starbucks, with the person that you meet at an open house, and it works anywhere in the United States. It may work in other areas. I don't know if it works outside of the US. But someone can use this app. I've used it in Austin, Texas. I've used it in Florida. I've used it all over the US. So you can use this app anywhere. So it doesn't have to be somebody local. And the cool thing is the consumer can create an account, which then goes into your Command database. They can save properties, they can save searches, they can save and kind of manipulate the data so that it shows them specific types of houses. They can like houses. So then you are also getting all of that data as well. And the email my agent, call my agent, like it'll all go directly to you. So it's like your little assistant is how I think about it. Anyone have any other thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas around using their apps, or have any other apps in general that they're using?
I'm gonna say the website, your KW website, that app, it allows you also as an agent to look up different properties that aren't in your MLS. So like I'll be on RMLS trying to look at properties, you know, out of the RMLS and nothing really comes up. But if you use the app, then you'll see all the properties, and then you can just copy and paste or reach out to an agent and go, hey, I need a agent full report on this. I don't have access. Sometimes they'll be cool and send you one.
That's a great point, Gary, that I've never even thought about that. But yeah, if the property is out of your MLS territory or it's not entered into your MLS, just use your app and it'll give you the majority of the information. The agent remarks won't be
Yeah.
on there, but that's a great way to be the market expert outside of
Yeah.
your market.
I use
right.
RPR a lot.
Ah.
You can, any
Yeah,
property
RPR is
you're,
great. That actually,
yeah,
that'll show you all of them.
which stands for Realtors Property Resource, but you can, if anything you're looking at in the MLS, you can go down, scroll down to the bottom, click on RPR, it'll take you over to RPR and you can print reports, you can print sellers reports, you can really wow your clients with that.
Way easier to read.
And I have that app on my phone as well, so you can do it on the go if you're not in your office or whatever.
So Timmy, you have the KW app, the RPR app. You're gonna get, what was it, the month or the daily mortgage update app? What else?
Yeah, whatever that was, that I wrote it down in the book.
Tristan's gonna make sure we all get it.
Yeah,
RPR is a good one.
Anyone use another app?
Zillow, shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll scroll the Zillow too. It's super user friendly.
Well, and sometimes that's what our clients are using, right? So
Right, exactly.
we need to know what they're seeing so that we can correct what might not be right on there.
Exactly.
Awesome. Those are really great resources. Thank you guys for sharing that. Okay, so this is instructions. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, now would be a really good time. Go to your app store or your Google Play Store and type in Keller Williams Real Estate. And it'll pop up a red box with a white KW in it. And that's the app you want to download. The second most important thing to getting the app is making sure that you connect the app to you. If your information isn't on there, then you're missing a huge opportunity to be capturing people's information in your database that either you're sharing directly to them or maybe they're sharing with another person. There's a great mortgage calculator on there as well. That's really easy for consumers to use. So step one is download. Definitely download. Step two is absolutely make sure that it's got your information in the app. So when you share it, your phone number and email go along with it.
so that happens, I think when we send that out from Command and, we send that app out that way on a smart plan. That's what I was trying to think of, is this the smart plan. I couldn't think of it all of a sudden, but anyways, I think that comes across to people naturally with our information on it, doesn't it?
Yes. So each app, and so that'll correlate with your smart plan, has a unique link. So when you're sharing through a smart plan or sharing through your website, it's sharing that unique link that's connected to you. So yeah, great point, Tim. If you're sharing it in an email or online, then it should be your unique link. If you're sharing it from your app though, that's when you would want to make sure that it already has your information on it. Okay, everybody's got it, right? Okay, establish your business on social media. I was in a class this morning where they talked about selling real estate in different generations. Boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. Apparently this new generation is Gen A.
Reminds me of a movie.
I don't think
Gen
what
A.
is
I don't
it?
think
Gen A?
Is that a Forrest Gump joke?
no, it's real, but that's a good that's a good Forrest Gump joke. I like that.
Gen A.
Gen A.
I am
Good
running.
one. I don't
Sorry.
think Gen A can buy houses yet. They're not old enough. So we don't need to worry about that generation just yet. But what was interesting is the statistics about millennials and Gen Z make up 2/3 of the population. So when we're talking about attracting that clientele, where are they? How do we attract to them? How do we attract them? How do we get their attention? This is going to be a huge way. If 2/3 of the population communicate online as one of their main sources, then we should definitely be here. So Keller Williams and Ignite talk about your success system, and the success system for social media is something called a 10-5-1. Like 10 posts a day, write 5 comments a day, and send 1 direct message a day. That's a system to success.
It's a really good
and-
idea.
Yeah, I could like.
Yeah.
That's
Not too
fun,
hard.
right? Yeah, all the hearts.
I like the system that it shows, Katie.
Yeah,
Like 10-5-1. Like that's so easy. Like
yeah. It used to be a 5-5-5. 5 likes, 5 comments, 5 direct messages. I'm assuming they've done research and this is going to get you a better result. And there's going to be a whole class in Ignite on social media itself. So this is just scratching the surface of what's to come. Also, it's a free way to market yourself. Unless you're doing paid ads, everything you post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a tricky one. I didn't think LinkedIn was a big deal. Apparently LinkedIn's a big deal. So,
big deal until you get like 10 like things from LinkedIn that says, hey, I know
Yeah.
you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
oh yeah, that thing out there, LinkedIn, it's still there. So what the experts say is when you post on social media, you should follow an 80-20 posting plan. 80% of your posts should not be about real estate. They should be about other interests you have. This is how you're going to attract people that are like you or people you're attracted to. So in your participants guide, in your booklet, there's an activity labeled brainstorming your social media personality. This is going to be fun, you guys. So it says, open your social media. If you're an Insta person, open Instagram. If you're a Facebook person, open Facebook. It's probably the only time during a class that you're going to be told to get on your social media. I feel like I've always been told to get off my social media. I'm telling you to open your social media and look at some of your recent posts or likes and make a list of your interests that are not real estate related. Like, what are pictures you're liking? I already know Jordan it's going to be dogs. For me, it's tips on raising a toddler.
All the dogs.
Food for babies. So make a list of your recent posts or things you're liking that are not real estate related. These interests are key to establishing your brand and presence on the internet. I'll give you a few minutes to scroll. I'm going to do the same.
So if you don't, I don't feel like I really share or like anything, but I follow several groups that I interact with. Would you say that like those groups are the things like obviously those topics are your interests.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, like I follow you guys, I have a 1.5-year-old. So everything I do, I feel like is baby related, but baby led weaning, like talking about feeding kids solids, like that would be something I'm involved in. I don't post either, actually.
Okay, that makes me feel better because I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I have a 10-month-old, so baby is like my whole life and no sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. Ear infection, cold, teeth. It's like the perfect storm.
I am in that with you right now. I am sick from my baby.
I feel you. So would you say that I am not posting or sharing like within those groups as much as like just like trying to like learn information and figure out how to survive? That would be something I should focus on doing.
Yeah. So what we're doing is establishing your social personality, your social presence, your brand presence. So if your life is in the best way possible consumed by baby, then your social presence is going to be a lot of baby stuff, baby products, tips to help a sick toddler, things like that.
I also have a 6-year-old, so it's like just kids in general. Like,
yeah. Does everybody have a little list going? So the follow-up question is, how would you, now that you've written down the things that you've liked or posted, how would you describe the brand or niche of your of your brand or your personality? Mine would be mom.
Mine would be just being a musician. I have a Facebook page for my band, which is a rock and roll band, but always posting where we're going to be next and, reminding people and that sort of thing. So it's pretty much, for the most part, what I use social media for.
Yeah, I love that. Now I want to come see a show. So I'm going to like or follow you on Facebook.
Yeah, just type in, if you type in The Distance, Eugene, Oregon, that'll take you to our Facebook page.
Okay. What kind of music?
Rock and roll.
Perfect.
So if you're into dancing
And
and that sort of thing, then you would like to come and see us. And we've all been doing this for, and I hate to say it, I'm giving away my age, but almost 40 years now. Started playing bars at
Jordan,
16
like
years
that.
old. So, yep, there I am.
And what role do you play in the band?
Lead guitar, lead vocals. I'm the guy that talks to the crowd and, in between songs and that sort of thing.
So fun. What's someone else's brand or niche?
in addition to like basically just kids and family, I also put like minimalistic and like health based content.
I love that.
Mine is, I'm that mom that puts way too many pictures of my sons online. But I follow, like, I just call it parenting hacks, like wise tips from other parents in the trenches with little kids sometimes. And also horse stuff. I put involved in the horse game. That's another aspect.
I love that. So now when we're talking about posting or having a social presence, if the rule is for every 5 posts, 1 can be about real estate, talking about babies, talking about health, talking about horses, talking about music, like this is your 5-to-1 ratio. You now have you're building your brand around things that you're naturally attracted to, and you're naturally going to attract people like you. Everybody wants to do with business with people like them, right? Not the opposite. So now the next question is, how do you integrate the two? If you're talking about being a parent or loving animals or music or health, how do you keep on brand and incorporate real estate? What would be some ideas?
Well, for myself, I am pretty artistically inclined. So all of my signs and cards and everything have very artistic features to them.
I love that. This might be too much, but what if you, well, and I don't know what kind of art, but what if you, as a closing gift, gave a picture of their home to them, or incorporated your art somehow in your business and your clients' daily lives?
I think,
So
no, I love the idea. I do portraits. So if you guys wanted to sit and pay me to like paint a portrait of your family, that's what I do, is like the actual headshots.
oh my
But
goodness.
it's very time consuming. So I am not gonna lie, throwing it into a real estate gig would be a big stretch of time, because it takes a lot of time. But so
Yes.
yeah, if anybody wants, like a nice family portrait done, holla at your girl over here on the coast.
I love
That's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you love dogs, maybe you're showing a home and you say, oh, my dog would love this backyard. Or if you're a parent taking your kids to a showing and showing, like, videotape them showing the home, or just sitting at an open house with you, like, got my sidekick with me, or this would make a great music room. I could see myself like practicing in this room. I think there's a lot of ways that you can blend the two, so you're being naturally you. And
I actually used that once where I was showing a house and it was a basement, but it was really kind of, could be a bedroom, it could be an office, it could be anything. And I mentioned, man, this would make a great rehearsal studio.
that is, yeah. So you're staying on brand, but you're incorporating how real estate and music are both showing up in your life. I love that. Okay. Now back to some other business stuff. Other enrichments. Here are other ways to know your numbers and your market, and things you should make part of your daily success system. So social media is one way to show your expertise or show what you're doing in the business and kind of organically start that conversation. Here are some other ways to know your market and improve your skills. So study your market center reports. I know that every month we put out, or every week we talked about this, the TMOs. We do a monthly language of real estate. We have we put out the MLS stats, and we talk about them at all partners meetings and team meetings. And another one is just previewing homes. What better way to know what's on the market than walk through it yourself? Take an MLS course, visit and hold open houses, study your language of real estate, read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent or the Shift book. What are other ways to know your market?
Just
Have
know
we
the
exhausted all
stats,
of them?
study the stats, and
Yeah.
like we were talking about earlier.
Study the stats. There's a lot of them out there. How would previewing homes help you know the market, or how would holding an open house help you know the market?
Well, holding an open house would give you a chance to see how much activity that your price got firsthand.
Yeah. How much activity, and then hearing what people are saying about that house. Love that.
You
Okay.
oftentimes will learn the neighbors too at an open house.
Yeah.
So if you have a client and you're showing them that house, you can tell them which neighbors are cool, which aren't, what you heard about so-and-so. You can get all the juicy gossip.
I love the juicy gossip. Yeah. Learning about the neighborhood, learning more about the house from the neighborhood, the neighbors, also the activities you do around an open house, door knocking and flyering and putting out signs. You learn a lot about the neighborhood as well. I love that.
Yeah.
Any ahas so far? We're almost done, I promise.
The 80-20 post thing was kind of insightful for me, because I'm not gonna lie, I was doing a lot of posting. I was being very active in the opposite way. Here's a bunch of real estate info. Here's a bunch of tips and tricks of all things relating to real estate in a bunch of different ways, but also here's a little bit about me. So the flipping that was kind of an aha for me, of try to be more present as a person before an agent.
Yeah, people friend you on Facebook because they like you. And then they learn that you're also in real estate.
Katie, are you in the Portland area or the Eugene area?
Portland.
Do you know if by any chance the offices have, I remember they talked about don't be a secret agent. So
Yeah.
what do they have like little Keller Williams pins or hats or look at me, I'm an agent?
Yes. Yeah. There's actually Keller Williams stores. Well, not like Nordstrom stores, but websites that sell Keller Williams gear. So you can get a like Keller Williams hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, pin, name badge. There's also third-party vendors that sell the hats that say like want to buy a house, or the shirts that say talk to me, I'm an agent. So you can find a lot of Keller Williams.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I just being able to incorporate advertising while I'm walking.
Yeah.
Is there a site we can go to look at that stuff?
Yes. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick and I'll look it up for you guys. See. There's kwredlabel.com is the official Keller Williams swag store. And that's where you can find the shirts that Gary Keller wears, like the one that says buy dirt. There's also myredgear.com is a Keller Williams swag store. And aredstore.com is another good one.
That's a red store?
Yes.
I was gonna say, like, for open houses, another benefit would be just selling yourself to the neighbors that are around, and see what you do for that client.
Say that again, Emily. You cut out. I think my internet.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was saying another benefit of holding an open house is just selling yourself to the neighbors and showing them what you do as an agent.
Yeah. Yeah. This home may not be, or this may not be the right home for you, but who else in your neighbor, well, if it's if it's a neighbor, who else in the neighborhood might be selling, or like, who do you know that might want to live in your neighborhood? Yeah, getting clients from neighbors. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay, so, oh, was someone going to say something?
I had a kind of question real quick.
Yeah.
So as far as the posting 80/20, like personal / real estate, so like your personal Facebook page, and then you should have like a business Facebook page. Yes. Like, how would you, like, are you saying like on your own personal page it should be the 80/20, or on your business page it should be 80/20, or like, I'm not really sure, and like with the two separate pages on how that's supposed to like look, I guess.
Great question, Ashley. The 80/20 should be on your personal page, and there is very strong opinions one way or the other. People have strong opinions about having a business page or not having a business page. The advantage to having a business page is that you can do paid ads through a business page that you can't do on a personal one. So if you're going to use social media, and specifically Facebook or Instagram, for driving leads to your business, if that's one of your lead generation layers, then you have to have a business page. But if that's not a way that you are planning to build your business, then I've heard some strong opinions about doing all of your posting on your personal page, because that's where everybody's at anyways. Like, all your friends are on your personal page. So it's kind of a personal choice which one you want to do. I would say though the 80/20 rule applies to your personal page.
Okay, so then for your business page, that should just be basically all business related.
I think it's good to have some personal things on there as well. Personal opinion. Like, I think it's great to share, like, if you have a family or you love dogs or you're into health, like sharing some of those things as well. However, people like that page because it's a business page. So they're going there for that information specifically. So there's not as much of a need to share personal things on there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's a great question. What other questions? This could be group chat, group talk. Nothing? Okay, we talked about the daily success habits. Have you guys been going into the conversations and doing lead gen at this hour? Have the last two sessions done that? No. Okay. I was like, this is the strange hour to start your lead generation. So I kind of was going with, that's not what we're doing. But what I would say is, like, if the perfect day of a real estate agent is to lead generate from 9 to 11, then use today's content and the rest of today to be pulling up that market information and deciding on this conversation sheet who needs to know that. Who are you going to share that information with, and in what way? Are you going to call them? Are you going to email them? Are you going to post it on your social media? How are you going to build your daily success habits? 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, 10 handwritten notes, the 10-5-1 social media engagement. How are you going to use today's content to grow your business?
Market stat report post.
Love it. Market stat report post. Good one, Gary.
Oh, and here's my dog.
I know something that we do on a regular basis, and we have a report that comes in from Cascade, and we make sure to post once a week with just kind of what the trends are for the area. So that's you know, kind of being able to expand on that's something that I think, you know, something to be able to expand on that, I think is something pretty helpful.
Yeah. Like, here's the information. If you have questions, please reach out. Yeah. Does this apply to you? I love that. Thank you for sharing, Melissa. I also think there's power. There's two forms. If you're reading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, they talk about two forms of lead generation. There's marketing or indirect lead generation. You're putting the information out there for someone to reach out to you. And then so that's marketing. And then there's prospecting, which is very direct, where you're specifically calling that person for a conversation. And so a marketing-based way of sharing the information is putting it out on social media or putting it out in an email saying, call me for questions or call me if you have information. Then a direct way or a prospecting way is, hey, calling someone and say, this information made me think of you, or sending a direct message and saying, I know you live in this neighborhood, thought you would love to see this information. So both are great forms of lead generation, depending on your motivation or the motivation of the people you're trying to reach and your goals. But data is power, knowledge is power. So sharing it is our job of the professional to navigate that conversation. All right, guys, any last ahas, questions, thoughts, ideas for the group? No? Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, what?
Yeah, thank you for the information.
Yeah, Emily, what were you gonna say?
I say, this class was really helpful because it's scary, like as a brand new agent, when someone asks you, how's the market? And it's like, ooh, I don't know, I'm brand new.
Yeah.
So really helpful.
Yeah, having some
Ask
talk.
them why do you want to know how the market is?
Yeah.
Are you interested in buying or selling or something, or rent, you know, or do you rent? Why?
Market's great. Why do you ask?
Yeah, why?
Yep, great
Who
point.
wants to
Great.
know?
Yeah. I love it, Gary. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you spending some time with me and me getting to know you guys. And I hope that this leads to some great conversations. All right. Have a great, Thursday. Have a great Thursday, everybody.
Thanks
Bye.
again,
Thank
Katie.
you.
Thank you.